Hello everyone, my name is RainGod, and today we are going to be diving into the deep, dark TF2 item Iceberg. This iceberg was created by me and my friend, and through our knowledge of trading in TF2 history, we managed to compile a decently sized list of items for this video. Now, keep in mind that some of these items aren't necessarily glitched, but rather very strange and obscure. Before we start, I would really like to thank Hack the Gibson for helping me and allowing me to use his inventory as a reference point for this video. Without it, I wouldn't have even known half the things in this video existed. On the surface, I have listed some things which you'll most likely have heard about at some point in your time playing TF2. If you haven't, then chances are you are new to the game or only play for the gameplay itself. But anyways, let's move on. Starting off with the well-known items, we have the Universal Killstreak Kit. Now these items were introduced to the game right after the Gunmetal update in 2015. They were introduced after a glitch which turned regular weapon kit fabricators into universal kit fabricators. And basically what this is are killstreak kits that can be applied to literally any item in the game, including taunts, hats, keys, and even crates. No item is exempt. They can no longer be obtained, however, except through trading and are becoming increasingly rare and expensive as the years go by. Next up, we have glitched item names, and basically, the title explains itself. They are weapons or hats with very long names that go past the character limit. They were originally obtained by using special characters, but after Valve patched it, they were only obtainable using stock weapons. Now it's a bit of a mystery to me as to whether or not they're still obtainable, but there are tons of them out there if you were ever to go looking for one. Painted unpaintable items are hats or weapons that are not paintable, but one way or another got painted anyways. Some examples include the famous Cow Mangler, the Pencil Pusher, and the Lucky Shot. All were originally obtained for very short periods of time when Valve forgot to put paint restrictions on them. If you were to ever go looking for one of these, well, good luck, because they are extremely rare, very expensive, and the people who own them will most likely never trade them away. Next, we have a fairly common item that you yourself might own and not even know it. These items are called legacy paints. And basically what they are is hats that were painted before they became vintage, but once their quality switched from unique to vintage, the paint description for some reason did not carry over, and you were left with something that looked like this instead of this. And if you were to for some reason remove or change the paint, well then you can say goodbye to it being special anymore because it will just turn into a normal hat. These items are not too expensive, and you can find them here and there on backpack.tf, sometimes even the community market. Alright, duped items. Now, this really shouldn't need any explanation, but duped items are items that have been duplicated one way or another to make more than one of that same item. Of course, this cannot be done anymore and hasn't been able to be done for a long time, but duped items are still plentiful and traded to this day. Non-obtainable unusuals are usually hats that were support granted to people for finding bugs or as Make-A-Wish requests. And what Valve would do is grant these people one hat and effect of their liking. This has led to some very cool hats that can't normally be obtained as an unusual, such as the Sunbeam's Gaslyris Gibus and the Nebula Summer Hat. But unfortunately, Valve doesn't do this anymore, except for extremely rare occurrences, such as the recent self-made golden pan that showed up a few months ago. Alright, so now we have covered all of the surface level things on our list, and it is time to move on to some lesser known items. Unfortunately, for some of these, I do not know their origin, but I will do my best to at least make an educated guess on how they got into the game. Tradable, untradeable items. Now there's actually two different ways you could have gotten these back in the day, with the most common being gift wrap. Basically, there was a point in time where you could gift wrap things like the Danger X2, something special for someone special, and the Haunted Metal scraps. I'm not sure exactly how it was done, but somehow these items ended up in a gift wrap, which makes anything inside a tradable item, until you open it at least, because then it will be forever fused to your account. The other way that these could have been obtained is by Steam support, because sometimes when people deleted their items that couldn't normally be obtained, such as achievement items, Steam would give it back, and oftentimes they would forget to make it non-tradable. This is why there is a tradable Director's Vision and other tradable achievement items. Of course, there's only one of them though, which makes it insanely rare and a priceless collector's item. However, I should warn you, don't go around deleting your Halloween or achievement items because Valve no longer support grants TF2 items after you delete them. Crafted uncraftable items. This one kind of ties in with the last one because items like the Black Rose, which is normally an untradable achievement item, are able to be traded if they were crafted before this was patched. Basically what happened is when certain weapons or hats were added to the game, Valve would sometimes forget to take it out of the crafting pool, which allowed people to craft weapons such as the Black Rose, Shooting Star, and the Capper. Every time this happened though, it was patched fairly quick, which means that they are quite valuable, especially the Black Rose, which cannot even be obtained through achievements anymore, making this knife reskin at least a 200 key item, or, if you were paying on Steam, about $400. Red attribute missing. Technically, this is a legacy paint, but I figured I would make it separate since I didn't even know it existed till like 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure the origin of these hats, but basically, it's just a painted hat without the red team paint attribute. I'm assuming this is because the paint was updated at some point and something happened that caused the red attribute to just vanish. This is also really interesting because I thought that the team colored paint splotches were just their own images, but it's actually two different images put together. Wouldn't you know? Strange parts. When I say strange parts, I'm not talking about the ones you can unbox or buy on the Steam market. I'm talking about ones that were applied to items that cannot utilize that strange part, such as the flying guillotine with buildings destroyed. In case you were wondering, the flying guillotine cannot deal damage to buildings. Or how about a big earner with long distance kills? Knives cannot get long distance kills, you know, and other things of that sort. These strange parts cannot be applied to those items anymore though, because it has been patched. This is another fault of Valve forgetting to put restrictions on certain items, but honestly, I don't blame them. There's so many strange parts and so many weapons that it's a wonder it even got patched in the first place. Top Notch. This item is a one-of-a-kind item gifted by Gaben to the creator of Minecraft, Notch, because apparently he used to be an avid TF2 player. And the reason why Gaben did this? I don't know, it's just cool I guess. Honestly, I wish Valve did more stuff like this nowadays. It'd be cool if people who supported the game got their own hats. But honestly, we can't be asking for too much because the game doesn't get any updates as it is. Randolph the Blood-Nosed Caribou. This is actually another one-of-a-kind hat, but the reason why it's one-of-a-kind is really a mystery. It was introduced as a possible item drop from crafting the Steam Holiday Sale 2013 badge. There were a number of TF2 items you could have received, such as the Smithmas Spirit Dispenser, War on Christmas Socks, and the Smithmas Caribou, all having a lower drop rate than a previous item. But for some reason, there only exists one Randolph the Blood-Nosed Caribou. Whether or not this was intentional, or just really bad luck is unknown. What is known though is that you will never be able to own it, since the current owner has not been online in over 4 years, and from what I heard, something happened to him. Not sure what, but chances are he's not returning to this game. Off-level items. I'm going to go ahead and go through this one really quick since I find it pretty boring. But you know how refined metal is always level 3 and reclaimed metal is always level 2? Well, imagine that somehow you got dropped a level 4 refined metal. That's pretty much what this is. There's a lot of ways this could have happened, but either way it doesn't add much value because there's a very limited market for that kind of stuff. Strange normal weapons. So, I really don't know what glitch caused these items to form, but I do know where they came from. The 2015 Gunmetal update had a lot of bugs that came along with it, such as the universal killstreak bug mentioned earlier, but for some reason, at the beginning of the Gunmetal update, all stock weapons received were strange and normal. This same bug also affected Australiums and unique weapons as well, which makes for some very weird looking items. As with most glitched TF2 items, these weapons are all very expensive, especially the Australiums. But they aren't too hard to find if you ever want one. Just be prepared to cough up a couple hundred keys. Dragonslayer wares. Whenever you complete your Jungle Inferno contracts, you will always, without fail, receive a factory new Dragonslayer warpaint. But if this is true, Then how come there are Dragon Slayer war paints with different wares? Well, back when Jungle Inferno first released, you had a chance to get a Dragon Slayer war paint with a wear that was lower than factory new. The lower the wear, the rarer it was. Whether this was intentional or not is unknown, but there were tons of people complaining about receiving a battle-scarred Dragon Slayer war paint. If only they could have seen how much it's worth now. Loner tags. Damn, the gunmetal update was full of bugs. I guess that was good for the economy though, plus it's given me some good content to share with all of you. So, the Manco store has an option for you to rent a weapon before you buy it, and when you get one of these items, it is called a loaner. And all loaner weapons have this little description at the bottom, which basically lets you know you can't trade it or do anything with it. Seems all good, right? Well, for some reason, during the gunmetal update, whenever you traded up weapons, there would be a chance for that item to have a loaner tag on it. Why? Because fuck it, why not? Fortunately, these items are tradable and marketable so people can still buy and sell them with a loaner tag attached. You can also get them decently cheap on Backpack, which is pretty nice. It doesn't add too much value, but it is still a cool little thing to have. Normal cosmetics and weapons. These items are extremely rare and the origin of them are unknown, but somehow there are a few items in the game which are just completely normal quality. No strange, just completely default and normal. In fact, there are so few of them that I can name them all. The normal frying pan, normal Ellis cap, normal Master's yellow belt, normal black rose, normal purity fist, normal printy machete, normal bat, and finally the normal bat saber. Again, I have no clue how these came into the game except that it was some sort of glitch. I also noticed that a lot of these are achievement items from other games, so maybe that has something to do with it? Alright. If you knew about any of those items, that's good. You've done your research. I didn't even know about most of these until much later in my time playing TF2. But now, it's time to really dive into the unknown. If you know about any of these items, then I congratulate you. In fact, you probably know more about them than I do. Anyways, now it's time to explore the yo what the fuck that exists category of my iceberg. Starting with the first item in this category, we have the glitched upgrade to premium. Nobody knows how this item came into existence. I even asked the owner himself if he knew anything about it, and all he could say is that it might have been a support grant screw up, as is the case with a lot of the items in this video. There's only one of these in existence, and for some reason it doesn't have an item picture. Another thing I find interesting is that the name is different from the regular upgrade to premium. You see, this item is named Team Fortress 2 Upgrade to Premium, whereas the normal version is just Upgrade to Premium. Legacy spells. Honestly, now that I think about it, all the information I have on this may be false, so take this with a grain of salt. Remember how I was talking about some items could be traded if they were gift wrapped? Well, that's kinda how these work. Way back when spells were tradable and usable, you could actually put them in gift wraps, which meant that even after the Halloween event ended, you could still have them in your inventory despite all spells disappearing upon launch of the game. Which means that technically, spells can still exist in people's backpacks, even though I have no proof of any existing. I do, however, know that there are spelled war paint weapons that came out after spells were last available in 2013. I am also aware that there are quite a few spelled potassium bonnets which were introduced in the 2015 gunmetal updates, 2 years after spells were last available. Deflector. The deflector is a weapon used by one of the heavy bots in MVM, but somehow, I believe during 2013, a player found a bug that allowed him to get any item in the game's coding. As proof, he glitched in a deflector minigun. After he had fun playing with it, the bug got reported and he received a Sunbeam's Cheater's Lament. I don't have much information on this one, but I am curious. How the hell did he trade it to someone else? These kinds of things are always granted as non-tradable items. Sheenless or killstreakless killstreak kits. These items are just regular old killstreak kits, except for the fact that they don't have sheens or killstreak effects, which is kinda strange because that's what makes a killstreak kit a killstreak kit. The first way that these were possible to be obtained was, you guessed it, the gunmetal update. There was a glitch that allowed players to remove the sheen and killstreaker from their kits when they reverted them to original, which which I believe just meant removing all the crafting materials from it. The other way was in 2016 when for some reason players were able to unbox killstreak kits that did not have sheens or did not have killstreakers. Robo Gatebot Light. This is another glitched MVM item worn exclusively by bots in MVM, but obtaining it didn't require any sort of crazy hacking like the deflector. In fact, this item was able to be crafted. During a very short period of time in 2013, you could actually craft this item and wear it, but after November 22nd, 2013, they were all destroyed and replaced by the glitched circuit board, a non-showing cosmetic which can still be bought to this day. Now it is time for my favorite 2 glitched items of all time. These next 2 items I think are so goddamn cool that I just had to save them for last. Invalid Particle Effect. This is a glitched unusual effect that has only ever been able to be obtained on the Burst Chester taunt. It is not known for sure how exactly it got into the game, but I am almost certain that it came into existence by being unboxed from the Quarantine Collection case as an unusual. But since there are no unusual taunt effects listed in the case's description, whenever an unusual version of the Burst Chester was unboxed, it would always come out as invalid_particle. I talked to the owner of one of these taunts and he told me that there is no effect that displays when using it, which is a little disappointing. Last on this iceberg is certainly a mysterious item. Unlike a regular crate such as Manco Supply Crate number 1, the seriesless Manco Supply Crate has no series number at all. Every supply crate has a series number. Even the new ones secretly do, you just can't see it. But for some reason, there exists more than one crate that does not have a series. The origins of these items are completely unknown and shrouded in mystery. One theory is that it was dropped before cases were implemented into the game, but in reality, no one really knows the truth. Another thing unknown about the seriesless Manco Supply Crate is what happens when you open it. This is a question that I would love to know the answer to, but sadly, there are only 2 of these crates known in existence, and it's highly unlikely that either of the owners will open one. My theory is that when opened, it will not drop anything, since there are no items listed in its description. If it were to drop something, I assume it would be some sort of glitched item, maybe even whatever Valve uses as a placeholder item for an empty slot, such as Invalid Particle for an unknown unusual effect. And with that comes the end of my iceberg. This is the first video I've ever made that I actually put a lot of time and effort into. I even made a whole ass script that I'm reading off of right now, so sorry if what I'm saying sounded a little confusing or weird. If you have any items that you think should have gone in this video, please leave it down in the comments because I might make a part 2. If anyone has any questions about the items in this video, I would be happy to answer in the comments as well. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Rain God out.